today, right now, the water emanates from the ground, we can even hear it, and runs into what we call the Siloam tunnel. Here starts a tunnel which is about 530 meters long and reaches the other side of the city of David in a winding course, like a big S, bringing water from the spring to the other side of the city. The big advantage of this water system over the Canaanites, about 1,000 years earlier water system, is simply, as I see it, that whereas the Canaanite water system brought the people to the water and assured them a safe way to the water and back without any interference from an enemy around. What was done here, why this is much more sophisticated, is that the water which emanates here in the valley, although protected, is outside the city. And it's a long way down all the steps as the tourists go today to the water. Now imagine it with a bucket full of 10, 20 liters on your back. This is quite an achievement to do. Whereas this tunnel brings the water to the other side of the city, to the protected part of the city. And the sophistication here is that everybody can reach the ancient pool of Siloam with their donkeys. It's within the fortified part of the city, with their donkeys, with their empty buckets, fill up the buckets and go back to their homes. Why is it more sophisticated? Because the city enlarged itself. It's much extended more to the west, to what today is the Jewish quarter and the Mount of Zion and the Armenian quarter. And from there to reach the water on foot is much more difficult than to do it with donkeys or so. So it's bringing the water into the center of the ancient Iron Age town, Israelite town. It's actually the first aqueduct of its kind. If you go to the books on ancient engineering, on water engineering, you'll find all of them starting with the Siloam tunnel, because it's the most ancient one. It is dated simply with the help of an inscription which was found incised on the rock wall on the other end of it. We are at the northern end of it. At the southern end of it, 530 meters away, was an inscription incised on the rock in ancient Hebrew. It was extracted. It is already more than 100 years in the museum in Istanbul. You can see it there, and it describes more or less the day in which the cutting of this tunnel was finished, when only 3 cubits were still missing or to be cut somewhere in the center, cut by 2 groups of workmen cutting from both sides. And it describes probably the last days when they felt their way through the rock to a successful meeting. And since then, the water doesn't flow anymore through the Canaanite channel, but flows to this direction, to the other side of the city. The Siloam tunnel, cut from the spring, where today the water runs through to the other side, to the pool of Siloam, is an engineering undertaking which is actually difficult to explain, even today. We don't have yet the entire explanation to it. What is frustrating to explain is how they did it, because it's not in a straight line, one towards the other, but it is in an S-shaped plan, one coming from the spring like this, and the other from the pool like this, meeting here, right? To cut like this. And mind you, you can do 2 mistakes on the way. First of all, that one crosses next to the other and don't meet. And they can do also a mistake in level, and one crossing above the other and without meeting in the rock down there. And neither of these mistakes happened. They met finally with a small, very tiny margin of error, which is a few centimeters to each side and in level of about half a meter. That's all. So we have to explain it. This is a little bit difficult to explain. I believe that this was done in relation to the Canaanite channel. There was a Canaanite channel down there running from the spring due south, and that at least the southern group has led its way with respect to the channel 2, to the Canaanite channel, right? But this we'll have to see on the plan and understand how they went and how they directed their way with the help of the ancient Canaanite tunnel.